And with that out of the way, we can go right ahead and go into the next segment, which is going to be focusing on the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, Jaylen Brown. So here are his numbers. This is his field goal percentage. And okay, why does it keep doing that? You love it. There we go. So those are the numbers that Jaylen Brown has been averaging throughout the Eastern Conference Finals. Around 30 points per game. His average is like 29.8, but like that's basically 30 points per game. 5 rebounds per game and 3 assists per game. He also averages 2 steals per game while also averaging 51% from the field and 37% from the three-point line. Now, if you're wondering what his true shooting percentages are, because like that's basically like the new advanced analytic that takes account for field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw shooting percentage in the fourth round, not in the fourth round, but in the third round. Let me just go ahead and pull up that number right here right now. Let me just see, because this number is very weird to calculate. I have no idea how they calculate this number, but it is a calculable number. I'm just going to go ahead and try and find out what it is. So his true shooting percentage in the Eastern Conference Finals is 59.6, which isn't bad at all. It's really not bad. What really brings him down is his free throw shooting percentage, because his free throw shooting is not really the best. And it wasn't the best in this series whatsoever. And he's shooting 65% from the free throw line, which is, for a guard, it's really bad. Like, okay, Brightness, like, I get it, son, you can stop. But yeah, so the free throw shooting is what brings down his percentages and in the true shooting department. So aside from the free throw, his shooting is very efficient. And these are very solid numbers coming in from Jaylen Brown. However, here are Jason Tatum's numbers. As you could see, he also averages 30 points per game, but he also, hold on just one second. Yeah, he also averages 30 points per game, and then he also averages 10 rebounds per game, along with 6 assists as well. And these are a lot better all-around numbers. While on top of that, he's also able to tally at least 1 steal, like 1.3 steals per game. That's still really impressive. The difference is his field goal percentage and his 3-point shooting percentage. This series, he was not a very efficient shooter from deep, but he wasn't really, compared to Jaylen Brown, he wasn't as efficient from the field either. And it makes sense how Jason Tatum's, like, his field goal percentage is going to be a little bit worse than Jaylen Brown's field goal percentage. The degree of difficulty on Tatum's shots is a lot more common than Jaylen Brown's shot selection. Like, Jason Tatum is more prone to taking difficult and contested shots as opposed to Jaylen Brown is. But I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown doesn't take these contested shots. It's just Jason Tatum and his mindset around Jason Tatum, he has the Mamba mentality. And I'm just going to go ahead and look at his true shooting stats right here. I'm just pulling them up on my phone right now. True. Hold on. Just pulling these up, seeing what he has. And he's averaging 56.4 true shooting. So that's his true shooting percentage, which is worse than Jaylen Brown's. Now, but when you look at the rest of the stats at face value, 30, 10, and 6, you'd think that Jason Tatum would deserve the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Like, it's marginal. It's really close. So Eastern Conference Finals MVP, that's a relatively new award. They didn't start giving those out until, like, I believe it was last season. And it's really new, and it's something that sort of awards the players the same way that it awards finals MVPs, but just in, their respective conference finals. Now, it's a little bit unfortunate that they introduced this now. It really should be called the LeBron James Eastern Conference Finals MVP because he would have won that award 8 straight years without hands down, without a doubt. It's really annoying that they had to add this like immediately after LeBron, leaves the Eastern Conference and is out of his prime and not in the finals anymore. But aside from that, very well deserved for Jaylen Brown, I believe. And I genuinely think that he deserves this Eastern Conference Finals MVP more than Jason Tatum. Like, I agree, Jason Tatum, he has the counting stats. Like, you can see the difference between the the rebounds and the assists between those two. Like, you see 5 rebounds to 10 rebounds per game, 3 assists to 6 assists per game. It's essentially double of what Jaylen Brown is producing. And so whenever someone is producing double the stats while at the same time producing the exact same amount of points, you would think that he would win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Like, that's just a basic gimmick. However, one thing that I believe the Celtics are taking into consideration is the fact that Jaylen Brown wasn't a part of any All-NBA team. Jason Tatum was a part of the All-NBA first team. So maybe this award was sort of like to recognize Jaylen Brown, like, the Celtics' way of recognizing Jaylen Brown as opposed to just constantly recognizing Tatum. I mean, Jaylen Brown himself was also that surprised with the results. He was saying, I never win anything, so I'm very surprised with... He literally said, I never win anything. So, I mean, all power to him for winning this award, especially winning it over Jason Tatum. But if we're going to look on the numbers alone, and assuming that, the fans voting didn't really have pity for Jaylen Brown, I still think, Jaylen Brown holds up pretty well in terms of stats. I mean, I understand he doesn't have the same amount of rebounds or the same amount of assists, but look at it this way. Jaylen Brown's main focus on the team is to put the ball in the basket and play defense. His rebounding, it's there if he needs it, but he's a guard. So it's not like the guards are really going to be looking for a rebound. He's a small forward / shooting guard. I mean, more or less a guard with how he plays and with the rest of the players in the rotation. And the assists, again, his goal is to put the ball in the hoop. So it's not really expected of him to get that many assists. Now, obviously, like, people are going to start wondering, okay, well, if it's not really his job to do all of that, but Tatum is doing all of that, then just give the award to Tatum. The biggest difference for me is efficiency. And Jaylen Brown's field goal percentage in this series compared to Jason Tatum's was so much better, especially considering how they both take difficult shots and difficult mid-range shots. And on top of that, Jaylen Brown's three-point percentage was way better than Jason Tatum's three-point percentage. Now, since they both take a high volume amount of shots from everywhere around the court, I don't expect Jaylen Brown or Tatum to shoot 40% in a series. That's like, I don't really expect that of them. But 36, 35, that's a relatively good three-point percentage for high volume shooters. And Jaylen Brown is at 37, which is incredibly more valuable than 30% coming in from Tatum. Not to mention, Jaylen Brown pushed the game into overtime in Game 1 and set the tone for the series. So that also should be taken into account with this award. And when you look at it that way, the Celtics would not have swept without winning that Game 1. And they wouldn't have won that Game 1 without Jaylen Brown. And Jaylen Brown continued to set the tone for the rest of the playoff series. So I think it's well deserved. And the only real thing that Tatum has over Jaylen Brown in this series is counting stats. And the counting stats are just coming in from rebounds. He's taller, so it makes sense that he gets rebounds, and they're mainly defensive rebounds. While the assists, they happen because Jason Tatum has the ball a little bit more, and his job is to facilitate and do a lot more than put the ball in the basket. So that's basically all the opinions that I have on the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Definitely well-deserved coming in from Jaylen Brown. He has earned his money because if you guys remember, Jaylen Brown is the most paid player on the Celtics right now, most paid player in the league as well. So definitely deserve to win this. Now, we are out of time for the second segment, so now we will go ahead and go into the third segment, which is a little bit more fun than the rest of the other segments that I have lined up. So in anticipation for the Mavericks going up against the Timberwolves in the next game tonight, I'm going to talk about some notable backcourts in NBA history, seeing as how Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are most likely going to be on this list if they end up winning a ring, or if they end up, staying iconic and popular and on the same team. So I will be right back after this short break. Stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.